Get ready, folks, because you're about to witness a beautiful scene unfold right before your eyes. A congressman absolutely shut down Jasmine Crockett and made her rage quit. Yes, you heard it right, during a congressional hearing. I think you're going to like it. It's pretty good. He shuts her down pretty well, so we're going to get right into it. But first, do me a big favor here. Like our video and also share it around. That way we can keep bringing you all this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
I want to be clear about what we just heard a few minutes ago from Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Stop just throwing a random dead person's name on something for your own political expediency.
This person was a vibrant soul, had a life, was pursuing a degree. She's not some random dead person, but she's a symptom of a larger problem, which you guys have ignored for years, which is that we're going to import and fling open the gates of our southern border and allow these individuals to come into this country, that we're not going to vet them, that we're not going to ascertain about where they land, and that we're not even going to follow up. The gentlelady from Wyoming introduced into the record a Homeland Security report. There's a Health and Human Services report about all of the systemic failures of the last administration. And the flippant and quite frankly callous response by the gentlelady from Texas is that she's just some random dead girl. Now, she just walked out of the room, so I guess she didn't want to hear this. But her mother, if you want to talk to her mother, which I encourage you to do so that you understand who she was, here's a quote from her mother that she was texting with me. Kayla talked a mile a minute like a hummingbird. She loved animals, especially her cat Oreo. She cared about the homeless. She loved her mommy. She treasured her family and friends. She loved God and loved going to church. She loved her birthday and Christmas. She loved the beach and the pool and swimming. Her voice and laugh carried across the room, even when the room was quiet. She loved music and loved to have fun. She lived every day to the fullest, and boy, did that girl love to sleep. And I can go on and on. This was a young lady who was pursuing a degree as a veterinarian. She wanted to help people. She wanted to live her life. She wasn't some random dead person that we just plucked out of a hat.
It's so sad. Obviously seemed by all accounts a decent person. And she had her life stolen from her by a sick and evil MS-13 gang member and was violated in the worst way imaginable prior to having her life taken by that same disgusting man. Allegedly, but you know, I don't think it's being made up. And what did the Biden Department of Homeland Security do? Well, they just let him right on in. They caught him crossing at the border and said, hey, go ahead, come on in. I mean, really? That's just sick. You know, there's a New York Post article about this, and here's a quote from her mother here, Kayla's mother. All they had to do is follow their own protocol. Lift the t-shirt of the 16-year-old young man that was trying to enter the border, and they would have seen a gang-related tattoo. And guess what? That would have disqualified him from entering this country. He should have been sent back at that very second to El Salvador. And you know, God bless her mother. I'll raise her one further. He shouldn't have been let in at all for coming in illegally. Gang tattoo or no gang tattoo. Though I will agree that makes it far more egregious that he was allowed to stay. Truly despicable. For Crockett to call her a random person is truly dehumanizing. She sees her as a statistic rather than a child of God. And that's truly despicable. It's kind of like when those leftists say, oh, well, you talk about an illegal alien committing a crime. That's an edge case. How disgusting of you to bring that up for political gain, they say. To that I reply, how disgusting of you to be okay with people entering this country illegally, even if it means innocent people die. Who cares if it's 1 out of a million? First of all, it's more, but even let's say it was. Does that make their life any less valuable? Or that death any less preventable? Of course not.
She is a symptom of a larger problem that you have ignored. We had a field hearing, my first term in Congress. Not a single damn Democrat showed up to look at the open border lawlessness caused by this administration. So while you sit here quietly for the last 4 years when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris allowed and tacitly sanctioned the trafficking of hundreds of thousands of children across the border, I think it's pretty dang shameful. You said nothing while young girls and boys were raped and otherwise abused by their smugglers and traffickers. You didn't even raise a finger to help when the New York Times, of all places, not really a bastion of conservatism, exposed the labor trafficking of unaccompanied minor children. There were no consequences to the actions of the last administration, and you just buried your heads in the sand. So Kayla Hamilton wasn't a random dead person. She was one of many people who have been victimized by the lawless border problems created by the last administration. And you refuse to acknowledge it, and that's shameful. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Can somebody say owned? What I find crazy about these issues is that the left always talks about out of both sides of their mouth, or at least does it quite frequently. Give you a great example. They've obviously been in favor of open borders for quite some time now. They hate enforcing the law as they're written on the books. Yet, remember when the leftist media was attacking Trump and saying that actually he's against border security in an effort to tank his 2024 election campaign? They were doing that. And it's just like, what? They said he tanked a bipartisan border bill, as they call it. Oh, you mean the Rhino and Democrat bill where they said we're going to let in, we're only going to let in like 6,000 illegals a day instead of like the usual 10,000. That bill? Really? And if you thought this was the only outrageous thing Jasmine Crockett said, unfortunately, you'd be sorely mistaken. She, aside from having hatred for just a random dead person, as she would call it, she also is not that fond of white people. Take a look at this.
And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within.
So I actually did Google it instead of taking Crockett's word for it at her own advice. And here's what I found. We got some FBI crime data here from 2019. And if you look at over here in the categories of white and black or African American, you can actually see that blacks have more committed total murders than white people do. That's even worse when you realize that there are 212 million white people in America and about 48 million black people in the United States. In other words, there are 4 times more whites than blacks in America, yet blacks still commit more total murders. You don't even have to look at it on a per capita basis. But white supremacists are committing 80% of all violent crimes? Forgive me, but that's bullshit. Okay, and the FBI crime data shows it. What makes this even more damning is that this population of white actually includes white Hispanics who commit violent crime at much higher rates than white Europeans. And let's be real, most people aren't thinking of white Hispanics when they say the word white. All that to say, Crockett's claims are even more ridiculous than they sound on their face. But no matter, anything that they can do to throw white people under the bus. They hate whites. Don't forget it. Well, folks, that wraps up our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. What did you guys think? Did you like the deep dive on the crime data? Debunking Jasmine Crockett? I want to know. Make sure you comment below. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button. And that way, we will see you again soon. God bless.